I want to do a very short video about Katy Hessel's book, How to Live an Artful Life. And it's going to be short because I don't know that I have a lot to say about it. I really appreciated it, and I think my appreciation for it grew the more I read. But the format is not necessarily my preferred format. And I think it's a book that warrants revisiting, but I also think that it has a right to be on your shelves if you are a creative person or if you want to get more in touch with your creative side. This book I actually first came across when I saw a thumbnail on YouTube where someone was talking about how they preferred this book to The Artist's Way, and The Artist's Way is a very famous book in the creative canon, looking at sparking creativity and giving artists regular challenges and things that they can do to keep their creative spark going. At least that's what I understand from it. I haven't read the book yet. I maybe will at some point, though I am aware that it has quite heavy religious overtones, and that doesn't always work very well for me, but it does seem like one of those classics in the field that probably warrants having a look at. But this book was one that some random person on the internet seemed to prefer to The Artist's Way, and it was available from my library on audiobooks, so I borrowed it. Now, I do feel like this book would benefit from taking it more slowly to make your way through the book, but obviously I was borrowing it from the library, and so I had a deadline that I had to read it within. But the structure of the book, which I'm not always the biggest fan of, is each entry is a year. So what am I saying? Each entry is a day of the year. So you start on January 1st and you end on December 31st. And every month there's an overall theme, and the entries kind of fit within that overall theme. So I don't know, the theme might be love, or I don't know, life, or grief, or I don't know, just, you know, general themes. And with every day she introduces an exercise or a thought, lesson, takeaway from a different artist or from their body of work to sort of emphasize the point of how you can enhance your creative life and deepen your creative life using these various lessons throughout the year. And so I guess like, it's a nice idea, the thing of like giving you a creative jumping off point for every day of the year. But I think the reason it doesn't work for me is that I find that some of the days are things that don't really feel like they feel too vague to immediately apply, and then other ones feel like they're very expansive, and I want to kind of explore that day's exercise over, you know, days or weeks or months even. I could apply some of these throughout a year or more, or forever. So, I mean, and there's, again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I think something about the structure of it can sometimes make it, rather than feeling like it's the 20th of April, let me look up that date and see what my task is for the day. I think I like it to feel a bit more like I'm feeling these things, or I'm going through this type of block. Let me search through the book for something that'll address this specific type of block that I'm feeling. And to be clear, that's not a major criticism or anything. I'm just noting what the structure of the book is. In that way, I think something like Creative Demons handles that a little differently, where it is handling it more like if you are experiencing fear of the blank page, then, you know, here's how you might combat that demon. I think that feels a little bit more intuitive in how to actually use it. But I did like the fluidity of the structure of this one, where it kind of leads you from one theme neatly into the next and ties that into a year, and you can see how that creative year flows. So yeah, I don't know, that's just one of those things that I noticed. But more importantly, I found that Obviously, a lot of the days you're not necessarily going to connect with. Not every single day is going to be the lesson or takeaway or whatever that you need in that moment. If you're reading it all in one big go like I did. But there were a lot of passages that really resonated with me and that I thought were inspiring or were just deeply relatable or just felt somehow useful, like something that you wanted to hold on to and bookmark and revisit probably several times. And for that reason, I think this would be a really good book to actually have a physical copy of. One of the most powerful pieces in the book for me at this specific time in my life, in the world, was a poem that she shared by Zoe Leonard. And the poem was written in 1992, but it felt so relevant to right now, the moment that we're living through. And I shared it on my Instagram stories. I'm going to put it in a Patreon post with this video for you to check out if you want to. But the poem is called "I Want a President," so if you just want to look it up at some point, you can. But it felt very poignant and moving, and there were definitely a few other passages that hit quite strongly in that way, and I feel like there's something powerful in that connection through time. And she mentions, I think a few times in the book, how art makes you feel deep time and takes you to a different moment, but it feels very present. And I think this poem highlighted that for me when I came across it, and it's the first time that I came across that. And I'm not really a poetry person. I mean, I don't have a problem with poetry, I just feel like I often don't get poetry, but this one is not like a difficult poem to understand. It's very apparent what it's on about. Anyway, I really appreciated as well the little bits of background that she gives on each artist. And if you are not aware, Katy Hessel wrote The Story of Art Without Men, which focuses on female and non-binary artists through history. And there are a lot of them, even though they are generally ignored in the accepted canon of creative people, you know, or their contributions are sort of asterisked as you know, female artist, or, you know, not just artists in their own right. And she kind of highlights them as just that, artists in their own right. And this book, like I said, it's 366 days of the year, and she highlights a different artist. Not for every, like, there are some repeated artists through this, but there are loads of different artists in this book, and the vast majority of them are women, and some of them I think are non-binary, and some of them might be cis gay men, but they're all marginalized artists who would have been excluded from the accepted canon, I suppose. I think it was powerful for her to highlight all of these different brilliant artists in the way that she did, and they each bring something genuinely valuable to this book and to your creative life. They have something really powerful to offer everyone, and it didn't feel like she was just kind of, I don't know, throwing them a bone for the sake of it. Do you know what I mean? So I really appreciated that. I don't know if I would necessarily say that it is a must-have on everyone's shelves, but I think you probably know if you're the type of person that will respond well to this sort of book. I do feel like it would be a valuable addition to my shelves, and probably to lots of other creative people's shelves, but also to any person who just wants to be a little bit more in touch with art and creativity and have a more artful life, as the title says. And I think that's probably all I have to say for now. I've already filmed a video on the book Ways of Seeing by John Berger, which I actually finished that before this. and just haven't got around to editing that yet. But I'm really enjoying this exercise. It's been interesting to see how the various books are connecting to each other and building on each other. But it's also been good to see where the various books might have blind spots with each other. And I think reading more widely on a topic, of course, will always give you, or should always give you, varying perspectives on that same topic. And that's kind of one of the big things that I would like to take from this challenge that I'm doing this year. And I'm genuinely really enjoying it. That said, I do think I would like to add a little bit more fiction into my reading life at the moment, since it's very highly skewed towards nonfiction right now. But I think that's all I have to say for now, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.